Alrighty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Dark Souls. When we last left off, we had just continued our way through the undead burg, and that's going to be the same goal for today, making our way through this last part of the undead burg, and hopefully we'll be reaching the Bell of the Awakening, which is being guarded by a very cool boss. So, starting off fresh, straight from our bonfire that we got to last episode, we're just going to be heading up these stairs, making our way through. Got a little undead we got in here. Now that's the way forward, but before we continue on that way, we're going to head into this little passageway here. Now, down here, this is the path you'd be coming up from if you'd gone down the pathway underneath the bridge, which is the path most players end up taking because they don't want to deal with the dragon on the bridge. However, if you do take that way, then this gate is closed off and it prevents you from this bonfire. So instead, it's just a lot better to get past the dragon and get to this bonfire so you have a good save point. Aside from that, though, there's also this staircase up here, which is going to lead us to yet another Black Knight. Now, these guys are as tough as always, but this guy is particularly strong because he has got a Black Knight greatsword. So, you're just going to want to be very careful in this battle, and I'll pretty much show you how it works. It's very similar to the last Black Knight that we fought. You kind of just strafe around him as always. You could fight him up here if you wanted, or you can try and bring him down. And of course you can also do what I did and get really greedy, trying to get 2 strikes on this guy, despite the fact that getting more than 1 strike on him is pretty much a bad idea. And kill him. So that's a wonderful demonstration of what not to do. Alrighty, let's try that again. Go back again. Make our way back up. And try and deal with him. Claim our souls. And get the backstab. Yeah, this Drake sword is killer against these guys because it just does so much damage, especially on a backstab. Much easier to deal with this guy than it was for the last knight we dealt with. Ooh, got him again. And now we're just gonna do it one more time. And down he goes. Oh my god. Black Knight Greatsword. Okay. I was honestly... Wow. I am in total shock that I got that. Okay. I swear to you, this is not a modded playthrough. I did not alter the stat drop, because now I have both swords for the Black Knights. That is... I have never been this lucky before. Okay, so, yeah. Good thing about taking it out that guy is there's a chance he'll either drop his shield or his sword like the first Black Knight. I really wasn't expecting to get that. That is incredible for me. Alrighty. Why don't we take a look at that new sword we just got? So, the Black Knight Greatsword. It is a strength scaling weapon, much more so than the regular Black Knight sword. It has 18 dex requirement, same thing as just the base sword, and a 32 strength requirement. That is pretty insane. Well, we'll get to having that level of strength eventually. Alrighty, man, this is a really, really good run for me. So, after you manage to handle that Black Knight, you're going to continue making your way down, and I'm sure the very first thing that you'll notice is that great big boar over there. That is a mean son of a bitch. He will kill you pretty fast if you give him the chance. So, do you just charge forward amidst all these hollows, and especially those two hollows up there with the crossbows? They're going to be sniping you the entire fight. Yeah, no. Instead, you're going to run this way. Get over here and get up these stairs to a safer area. Deal with the hollows up here. Work them down one at a time. And any other hollows that venture up those stairs. And once you've gotten all of them, you can make your way over here. You can grab this item, the Alluring Skull. The Alluring Skull is another consumable item. Can be pretty useful in certain situations. So, attracts certain types of enemies. This mostly works on more beast-type enemies. For instance, our boar friend down there. Normal hollows, I don't believe, are attracted by the Alluring Skull, but this guy over here, he is certainly drawn to it. So, considering our position, the fact that we got the Alluring Skulls right here, for that big guy right there, what do you think we should do with them? Well, how about we toss them into that fire? Not like that. There we go. Yeah. Oh, and he's wandering away. Let's try that again. So yeah, if you're not confident in dealing with this boar enemy right here, you can literally just throw these Alluring Skulls right into the fire, and he will light himself on fire. And down he goes. Now, for those big guys, there's a chance that they will draw a helmet, which is basically a mask of their faces. Big boar helmet. It's actually really cool, and it's a pretty great defensive item. Unfortunately, we didn't get this time, but considering the fact that I've gotten the 2 Black Knight swords, I'd say it's a good trade. So, after dealing with the boar and all of his lackeys, we're going to make our way over here. The gate right in front of us is shut and locked, so instead, we're going to make our way down here. Now, there's a couple halls in this room. This guy, he's going to run forward, and he's basically trying to draw you into another ambush. There's a couple halls just around these sides. Pretty easy to deal with, though. If you ever spot a hollow like that, and then they run away after they see you, that's generally because they're trying to lead you into an ambush. So, just check your corners whenever that happens, and you should be fine. Swung through the air. And I am getting very low on health. I should probably heal. And that wasn't good. Alright. There we go. That guy, and we'll come around here, get over this table, and grab a mystery key. Key that we're gonna use in just a little bit. We're gonna make our way up this ladder. I'm gonna deal with these 2 hollows over here. Don't know what their plan is. Now, before we move on, we're gonna want to try and walk on these support beams. Make our way over to this body. Get ourselves a large soul of a lost undead. After that, we're gonna climb right back up. Make our way through. And find another fog door. Now, don't worry, this is not a boss fight. It is just a regular, random fog wall in the world. And now we're up here. Perfect view of where we just were. Now, we're going to wander around this way, and you're going to see that guy right there. These guys are big skeleton knights. Do be careful. They can be kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. They use a lot of thrusting attacks, and they can very easily kill you if you're not careful. However, they are also a wonderful source of titanite. Not the bigger pieces of titanite, just like the small basic pieces that you use for initial upgrading of your weapons. Get the backstab! Killed him in one shot. And he was guarding a knight shield. Now, why don't we take a look at that? So, considering the amount of shields that we have now, should probably do a quick look over on these shields. So, we started off with the basic heater shield. As you can see, they have attack numbers because they can be technically wielded as a weapon, even though that's not what they're really made for. On the right side is their damage reduction. So, the top one is physical, that's for physical attacks, magic attacks, fire attacks, so on and so forth. Stability is a stat that is basically how much stamina damage you're going to take when you block with this shield. So, basically, the higher your stability, the less stamina gets used up when you block an attack. And a very important thing for any shield is the physical damage reduction. Most shields, well, at least a plethora of higher tier / heavier shields will usually have 100% physical, and that means when a guy hits you with their sword or whatever and you block it, you're not going to take any damage. However, as you'll notice with the wooden shield and the caduceus round shield, they have lower physical damage, which means you will take some physical damage even if you block with the shield. But in exchange, that also usually means they have higher protective stats in like magic or lightning and certain other elements, sometimes even fire. There's also the fact that these shields are also typically a lot lighter. See, the weight of the heater shield is 2 points, while the wooden shield is 1.5, and the caduceus round shield is just 0.1. So even though they don't have 100% physical, they do still have their benefits. So if you're going up against an enemy that just deals nothing but magic damage, it might be worth it to switch to something like the caduceus round shield for its higher magical block, if that's the highest magical block that you have. Otherwise, though, we're going to look at this knight shield. Now, the knight shield is, despite looking fancier and dealing more attack damage, it's pretty much a worse shield than just the regular heater shield, mostly due to the fact that it's a lot heavier, its durability is less, it has less fire protection and less lightning protection, but it does have more stability, but it's only by 1 point. So honestly, it's not really worth switching the heater shield for the knight shield. So we're just going to keep the regular heater shield for now. Later on, we will get much better shields that will make this basic heater shield look like child's play. So, after making sure that we got everything over here, we're going to head up this staircase over here. Now you can see we've got a guy over here. Make him attack me, just so I can finish him off. Roll through those barrels just because it's fun. And now you'll see this area over here is behind the gate that was locked to us earlier. So we're going to be getting down there in just a bit. Walk this way. Now, always remember to check your corners. We've got a basic hollow here, where we're going to attack, and we've also got one of those bigger knight hollows. And he is trapping me in this corner. But it's fine. Oh god. Yeah, these guys like to do attacks with their shields, which does quite a bit of stamina damage. Little bit annoying to get trapped in the corner like that, but it's all good. So, we're going to continue on our way in the outer skirts of this palace town area. See this beautiful forest next to us. Gonna make our way. And we've got a couple more hollers. Strike him. Strike him. And now we're gonna have to deal with this annoying crossbow dude. Not too bad though. You can hear the birds chirping. So peaceful here, despite the numerous dead bodies. So, going this way is typically the way forward. However, instead of going that way, we're gonna run down this way. Into this sort of forest temple sanctum looking thing. I know, what's that? Sounds like someone's hammering away at something. Could it be a new friend just ahead? I want a bonfire too. Yay. Bonfire lit, and we're gonna rest at it just to make sure that we've got this as our spawn point. Head down, and here we will find Andre of Astora.
Well, you must be a new arrival. I'm Andre of Astora. If you require smithing, then speak to me.
So, this is our blacksmith here. He's basically the guy that you come to for all of your weapon, armor, and shield upgrades. Basically everything. The only real exception is the boss weapons, as that belongs to a different blacksmith later in the game. But otherwise, Andre is your go-to. So, we're going to learn his gesture. Hurrah! And we're going to have a bit more of a chat with him.
Most weapons and armor are mighty sturdy indeed. But every hunk of metal has its breaking point. If you notice durability running low, it's time to repair. You can ask a blacksmith like myself, or do it on your own with a grindstone. The nice thing about weapons, they never betray you. So pay them a little respect, eh?
Yeah, giving some solid advice on weapon care.
There are two types of weapon forging. There's reinforcement and there's ascension. Reinforcement is simple. It strengthens the weapon and nothing more. A simple task for any blacksmith. Hell, you could even do it yourself with a smith box. But ascension's a finer art. It alters a weapon's properties. Ascension is the territory of we blacksmiths. A smith box just won't do the trick. Start out with reinforcement. When that loses its charm, you can consider ascension. As you've noticed, this land is flush with the mad and wicked. You won't make it through the night without employing my services.
So yeah, as he just mentioned, there's basic reinforcement, which basically just improves the basic stats of your weapon, and there's ascension, which changes the properties of your weapon. Basically, with ascension, you could turn a regular sword into like a chaos sword, which does fire damage, or a lightning sword, which does lightning damage, obviously. The only way you can do ascension is if you have the proper coal to match the element you're going for. And and we'll be collecting those coals as we journey through the lands. They're kind of just dotted all over the place, and you'll randomly find them after random bosses, or even just in chests and whatnot. They're kind of obscure, but just stick with me, and we'll find them all eventually.
You can forge armor just like you do weapons. Forging armor is even easier than forging weapons. Whether you forge weapons or armor first, well, that's up to you. But nobody wants to see you go hollow. So whatever you do, you'd better do it well.
So yeah, that's another thing to mention. In Dark Souls 1, aside from reinforcing your weapons, you can also reinforce your armor. Now, I believe this is, aside from maybe Demon Souls, because I haven't played Demon Souls, this is the only Souls-like game from Software where you can enhance both your weapons and your armor. Armor enhancement doesn't come in any of the later games, I don't believe, just because, well, mainly because it's not completely necessary. While it is nice to enhance your armor just in case you're struggling, and it'll help improve the stats, for the most part, armors as they come are pretty decent throughout the game, and they don't need too much changing. But it is an option that it is available, and being fully honest, I would love to see that return at some point, just because it's a nice option to add further customization. But aside from that, we're going to take a look at his purchasable items. So, he'll be selling basic Titanite shards. So you can farm basic, and I also believe large Titanite shards from those knights I was talking about earlier, the one with the thin sword and the big shield. I believe they drop both regular and large Titanite shards, although don't quote me on that. But you can also just buy basic Titanite shards here for 800 souls apiece. Really convenient for basic upgrading. Aside from that, he also sells a weaponsmith box and an armorsmith box. This will allow you to upgrade your weapons and armor just anywhere on the fly. So if you're somewhere distant and you can't get back to Andre in a reasonable amount of time, just buy these and you'll be able to do the reinforcing on your own. However, as Andre mentioned before, you cannot do weapon ascension on your own. You have to take that to a blacksmith. These will just allow you to do basic reinforcement, which is still fairly convenient. Aside from that, he also sells the Crest of Artorias, which isn't an item that's important to us now, but it'll become important to us later on. He also sells just basic weapons, you know, longsword, broadsword, bastard sword, axe, war pick. He also sells a Kestus. I always forget how to pronounce this. It's basically a fist weapon, lets you punch. I think it's the only fist weapon in the game, or no, I believe there's a few others, but it's the only one that I can recall for now. Also sells a leather shield, tower kite shield, and Caduceus kite shield. Honestly, these are decent enough shields, but what you've got, serviceable enough. Oops. He also sells just a bunch of different arrows. So it's another place where you can buy your arrows if you happen to kill the undead merchant. Aside from that, he can reinforce your weapons, reinforce your armor, obviously. He can also repair your equipment for you. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about Andre.
I'll be seeing you then. Be careful out there.
Now, aside from Andre, there is one last thing just down there, but we're going to do that in a little bit. Before we do that, we are going to do some kindling. So, in order to kindle a bonfire, you need to first reverse your hallowing. If you try to kindle a bonfire without reversing your hallowing, it just does not work. So, first and foremost, we're going to spend 1 humanity to reverse our hallowing. And now we go from zombie to man. Now, we have 0 humanity now, so we're going to go to our items, spend 1 humanity, and we're going to kindle this bonfire. Now, the reason why we're kindling this bonfire is because this is the access point to several areas that we're going to be going through later on, so this is just really convenient. Now, before we go on, I do want to discuss real quick the difference between hollowing, humans, undead, and the like. So, as was mentioned in the beginning intro of the game, regular humans will sometimes be fallen to the curse of undeath. That is what we are. We are an undead. Now, normally, undead have that zombie look, you know, fairly human. As with all of the adventures that we've come across so far, they all look pretty human, despite being undead like us, whereas we look pretty zombified. And that's because we were in a hollowed state. So, what is hollowing? Well, most undead are pretty much just humans who revive upon death. Sounds pretty decent, right? You know, don't have to worry about death anymore because every single time you die, you'll just resurrect at a bonfire. Pretty good deal, right? Well, the major problem with that is if you're an undead and you continue to die over and over and over again, or if you simply lose purpose in life, you will also lose your mind. You will become completely consumed by nothing but base instincts and turn into a hollow, which is what all of those zombie guys we've been fighting so far are. They are former humans who were afflicted with the undead curse, lost their purpose, or just died too many times, and eventually were consumed by despair and became hollows, losing their minds and becoming monsters who are forever stuck, dying and reviving and dying over and over and over again, cursed to never be able to die until the undead curse is dealt with. And that is the entirety of our mission. We are here to rekindle the flame so that the undead curse will vanish and the world will be restored. Or at least, that's what they've told us. So, aside from that potentially depressing note, we're going to make our way down this way. And we're going to encounter something rather metal. A Titanite demon. Look at this guy. Oh, he looks so cool. Oh, ow. So, this is a Titanite demon. They're big, they're powerful, they shoot lightning, and they're just randomly dotted around the world. What's their deal? Well, we'll get to their deal if I can manage to kill this guy. Now, there are several Titanite demons throughout the game, and they all function the same way. They're just hidden all over the world. Now, it's been explained to me, at least, that all the Titanite demons... Oh, killed me. Alright, well, allow me to show you what happens when you die as a human. So, when you die as a human, you will be resurrected in your hollowified form, and if you want to return, you'll have to spend another humanity to reverse your hollowing yet again. Yeah, it can be kind of annoying. Honestly, I probably should have saved this until after I killed the Titanite demon, because this guy can be kind of a handful to handle. So, we're just going to try again. Anyways, as I was saying, it's been explained to me before that Titanite demons are all basically the same level of strength and difficulty no matter where they are in the world, and the only thing that changes is as you kill more Titanite demons, the remaining surviving Titanite demons will get stronger. Now, I can't fully confirm how true that is, because I've tried to look it up and I've just seen conflicting stories on different forums and wikis, and also just been told conflicting stories on different Let's Plays and playthroughs that I've watched of this game. Honestly, I can't fully confirm whether that's true or not. I believe it's true, but I could be wrong. If I find a more solid answer to it, I'll put it in a posted comment or maybe an annotation in the video. And also I'll probably make mention of it in a later video, again, if I find a more concrete answer. But for now, we're just going to deal with this very first one. So, they're not the most difficult things in the world to deal with. Again, for a lot of big enemies like this, you kind of just want to strafe around, except when they do that. So that's what happens when you dodge into a guy's attack. Not a good idea. Third time's the charm. Never give up. That. Ow. Attack always seems to get me. And I just lost all those souls. Truly, I am a skilled warrior. Ah well, wasn't too many souls. Yeah. That's probably the most frustrating aspect about this game, losing your souls, but honestly, don't let it get you down too much. Getting frustrated over that is only going to ruin your playthrough of the game and ruin your skills. So, just keep calm and don't worry about it. You can always get those souls back. There we go. Got it. Alrighty. And killing a Titanite demon will give us a demon Titanite. Now, we could continue on this way. It'll lead us to a different area, but we're going to go there later. I just wanted to get that demon Titanite. Hello, Andre. So, making our way back up to this bonfire, I am going to, once again, use a humanity. And we're going to reverse all hollow. Humanity restored. Alrighty. Now, why don't we take a look at that demon titanite that we just got? So, Demon Titanite. Special Titanite stolen from a faceless stone beast known as a Titanite demon. When the nameless blacksmith deity passed from several slabs, great beasts arose. Power of the Titanite remains within them, and they still roam Lordran to this day. So, yeah. Even though Gwyn, the Witch of Izalith, Nito, and... yeah. Despite the fact... oh, and obviously the furtive pygmy. Despite the fact that those three are the most prominent gods shown, there are other gods. Plenty of other gods, in fact. Most of which you won't really hear about or even see mention of unless you're reading item descriptions. There is the nameless smith deity, who is nameless for a reason. And he is involved in a bigger plot turn, or at least he is potentially involved in a bigger plot turn of events that we'll go into at a later time. Just know that this smith deity is potentially very important. Aside from him, there are Gwyn's children, all of whom are gods themselves. There's the Witch of Izalith and her children, who... technically speaking, I don't think her children are considered gods, even though really they should be. Of a kind, at least. Nito is the last god that we know of so far, but there are plenty of other gods that we'll hear of if we keep an eye on item descriptions. So, aside from that, we are going to make our way back up. And we're now going to head into that chapel area. these hollows once again. Take them all out. Now, walking through here, if you look to our right, we'll see this big knight dude, and he'll just come charging straight at us. Want to guide him out here, just because there's a bunch of other enemies in that church area, and this guy is a bit of a hassle to deal with, enough on his own. Dealing with other enemies at the same time is a bit of a nightmare. So, we're just going to lead him out here so that we can deal with him by himself. There we go. Not too bad. And he gave us Titanite Shard. Nice. Aside from him, yeah, you see those guys over there? You make too much noise or messing around while fighting that big guy, and those guys will come to his assistance. And you'll get swarmed and instantly killed. So, right here, we have a Firekeeper's Soul. It's an item that's going to be important to us later on. Well, I say later on, but really in just a moment. So, aside from him, we also have this guy up here. That is a channeler. We're going to deal with him in a little bit. We've also got these guys. Going to deal with them right now. Yep. Yeah. Don't attack when he's doing this. I'm pretty sure this is a counter stance. At least as far as I'm aware it is. There we go. Got it. Come over here, guy. And dead. Alrighty. Took care of those guys. Now, we'll make our way this way. And run over here. Grab ourselves a halberd. And we're going to make our way down. Kill this guy. Get a basement key. Oh. And hollow soldier armor. And we're going to pull this lever to open up this gate that leads to this area that we were at earlier. Now, if you'll take a notice at this area, you'll notice, hey, that boar guy didn't respawn. So yeah, just like all the Black Knights that we've encountered so far, that boar enemy also didn't respawn. This is kind of a common thing. There are certain late game enemies, well, technically late game enemies, that are just positioned randomly in early areas, and once you kill them once, they'll be dead forever. So all the Black Knights that you'll encounter through a good portion, good majority of the game even, and some other enemies, like that boar, won't respawn after you kill them once. Pretty cool. Another enemy that won't respawn after you beat them once are guys like this enchanter up here. This is mainly because these are enemies from later areas of the game that are just stationed around here for lore reasons. So dealing with them is basically just getting rid of the one guy that's here. And the reason why they don't respawn is because reinforcements don't get sent this way, and those guys aren't undead. So yeah, that big knight that was over there who we just killed, the boar that we killed over there, and this enchanter, none of these guys are undead. They're just regular guys that have been sent here from other areas for one reason or another. So that big knight guy, that enchanter who we'll kill in just a bit, none of those guys will respawn once you deal with them once. Pretty cool. Something that you should really take notice of / keep in mind of what kind of enemies don't respawn after you kill them, because that can give you some lore hints about who those guys are and where they came from and potentially why they're there. So, After taking that little elevator down, we now find ourselves back in Firelink Shrine. Told you this game was very good at keeping itself interconnected. Honestly, it is one of my favorite parts about this game. So, now we're resting back at Firelink Shrine. So, if you'll remember, we recently just picked ourselves up the Soul of a Firekeeper. Now, you might be wondering what to do with that. Well, don't worry. You come down this little stairway here that we haven't ventured down yet, you'll come to find that Firelink Shrine is being tended to by a firekeeper. Any bonfire that you encounter that starts out giving you 10 Estus rather than 5 is a bonfire under the watch of a firekeeper. There's a few more that we'll run to throughout the game, but this one is the most prominent one because she's the firekeeper of the very first and the most important bonfire of Lordran, Firelink Shrine. Now, I believe her name is... Honestly, I'm blanking on her name. It starts with an A, I know that, and I'll inform you of what her name is probably in the next episode when I remind myself to look it up. So, talking to her, she cannot speak. Shame that. We can reinforce our Estus flask using the Firekeeper Soul. So, much in the same way that Sacred Tears in Elden Ring or, I believe, Bone Ash in Dark Souls 3 reinforces your flask that allows you to heal, and thus heal more with one drink. In this game, Firekeeper Souls reinforce your Estus flask and thus allow them to heal you more. Pretty cool, right? Now, speaking of Estus flask, you might be wondering, what even is an Estus flask? Well, if you take a close look at the design, you'll come to see that an Estus flask is bottled fire. Yeah, so you know how undead, like ourselves, are constantly resurrecting at this bonfire? And, well, the reason why an Estus flask gets restored at the bonfires is because this is, quite literally, bottled fire. And every time we drink it, we get a little bit of the bonfire's magic, which helps restore our health. Pretty cool. It's very cool that this game managed to link the lore explanation for the respawn mechanic to what also is our healing mechanic. That's another one of my favorite parts about the Souls series. Everything is interconnected, just like any good world building is. Now, aside from the Firekeeper, we have a further path down this way. Going down this path, we will come to an elevator. Now, where does this elevator take us? Well, you'll see. It ends up taking us to a pretty dark and dreary place. Welcome, my friends, to the New Londo Ruins. Yeah, this is one of the spookiest areas of the game. Very dark, very dreary. Aside from all the hollow undead down here, there's also ghosts. And those ghosts can't be touched unless you have a specific kind of weapon. Yeah, this is like definitely one of the most terrifying areas in the entire game. A flooded, ruined, abandoned town. So anyway, we're going to slaughter all the hollows here. These guys are just a great source of free souls. Dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. And you're dead. So many hollows. Go insane. And you're dead. Give us that S-stock. And we got a few more right down here. Hollows minding their own business, but they will all die. Don't feel too guilty. They'll get back up in just a bit. Once you reset at a bonfire. Now, as you just saw, that guy dropped a transient curse for us. What does this do? Well, it will temporarily give us a curse buildup. What is curse? Well, a curse in Dark Souls 1 is basically the instant death status effect. So yeah, if you've played Dark Souls 3, you're familiar with it, and games like Elden Ring have it too, with the Death Blight buildup. It's a pretty common thing in Souls-like where there's just one status effect that if it goes off, it instantly kills you. It's pretty annoying, and especially in this game, as Curse has an extra detrimental effect that is just the worst, which makes the Basilisk in this game all the more terrifying. But I'll explain that once we really get into areas where we interact with curses. Aside from that, though, you might be wondering, okay, why would I use an item that gives me curse buildup then? Well, if you have curse buildup on you, that will allow you to interact with ghosts, the ghosts of this area, and allow you to kill them. So, yeah, having curse buildup or having a cursed slash, I think occult is what they're actually called, an occult weapon is the only way you'll be able to combat the ghosts in this area. So we'll wait until we get our hands onto an occult weapon, or at least we'll ascend a weapon to become an occult weapon, and that's when we'll delve into the new Londo Ruins, which won't be for a good long while yet. Look at this guy. He is just absolutely chilling. Give me your souls. There we go. Now, aside from all the darkness, death, despair of this horribly flooded, ruined city, we've also got a dude down here.
Well, this is unusual. You haven't lost your head. And more importantly, you're free. How on earth? Well, I shouldn't pry. I'm Rickett of Vinheim. I was once an established smith. Look at me now. Can you believe it?
Yeah, this is Rickett of Vinheim. He himself is also yet another blacksmith. There's so many blacksmiths in this game.
What is it? Have you? Oh no. Don't worry. No intention of escape. It's safe here. Can't bear the thought of going hollow out there. Although, I must admit, not much to occupy myself. How about this? I could forge your weapons, albeit with rather minimal tools. I'll show you what made me the best in Vinheim.
So yeah, as I said, this guy's another blacksmith, and as he mentioned, he's stuck himself in this prison cell to keep himself safe and to ensure that he doesn't die and thus go hollow. Honestly, pretty smart strategy. Aside from being yet another blacksmith, he'll also sell some spells for you and a sorcerer's catalyst so that you can perform some magic. This is basically the first access you'll ever have to buying spells from anyone. Later on, spell merchants are pretty far further into the game, or at least a decent bit at least. So this guy will be your first access to it. Let's continue chatting him up, shall we?
What is it? There's nothing to talk about. We're both cursed, undead. But what's there really to moan about?
Fair perspective.
Come back soon. Smithing helps soothe my nerves. Don't let me wither away out of idleness.
So yeah, we'll just leave that guy be. Honestly, despite his asking not to just leave him alone and wither away from idleness, there's not much use for him. Andre is a far better blacksmith. By the time you find Andre, that's when you'll start wanting to upgrade your weapons. This guy being available so early, you could but you won't really have any Titanite yet, and just coming all the way back by the time you get some Titanite just to upgrade your stuff here, it's not really worth it. So unfortunately, aside from buying some spells, and I think he can ascend your weapons to magic weapons, I believe, but again, Andre will be able to do the same once you get him the right coal. Aside from that, though, there's not much use for him, unfortunately. Still, cool that there's just another guy down here, protecting himself with a pretty ingenious strategy. Now then, we're going to continue murdering some hollows. We're going to grab this item over here, Soul of a Nameless Soldier. And never mind, this is the way we came. Not where I'm meant to go yet. We're going to come to this way right here. So, remember how I told you to make sure to pick up the Master Key as your starting item? Well, this is why. Master Key gives you early access to the Valley of the Drakes, and allows you to open up this door, which serves as a shortcut to it. Down that way is another shortcut pathway to a place called Blighttown, which eventually we will need to get to. But for now, we're not going to adventure down this way. Just cool that you can get to those places early if you want to. Aside from these guys, and making sure we get last of the hollows over here, now we're going to head on back up. Gonna make our way back up this elevator. And now that we've unlocked the elevator in Firelink Shrine, there's some pretty cool things that we can do with it. Gonna make our way. Run our way, all the way over this way, and we reset the bonfire. Now, gonna make our way back up to that elevator, because with the elevator unlocked, we can do a little secret. So, heading up this way. And gonna drop onto this ledge right here. From here, we're gonna walk over on this ledge, and now, aiming carefully, you're gonna try and make your way onto that pillar. Best way to do that is to run and jump. Or to roll, even. So, gonna make your way up here to this collapsed top area, which will give us a little view on the crow that brought us here. Good seeing him again. Now, we're gonna drop over onto this roof. Here, we're gonna pick up the Undead Asylum Floor 2 West Key. If you'll remember in the very first episode, in our Undead Asylum, there was an item on top of a destroyed staircase that we couldn't get to just yet. Well, that key is going to solicit our ability to now grab that item that we missed. But how on earth do we get back to the Undead Asylum? Well, that's what this elevator is for. So, walking back over this way, and once more rolling onto this ledge. Instead of jumping onto that roof over there, you're going to come around this way and continue on up. You're going to walk all the way around this ledge, get to this nest, and now you're going to curl up like a ball. And you're going to just stay curled up. Takes a little bit, but it'll happen eventually. There we go. We fly! Ah. Back at the asylum. Now, as you might pretty quickly notice, hey, there's a lot more hollows here than I remember. So, yeah, since the last time we were here, this place has gotten significantly more dangerous. Especially with those hollows right there. These are torch hollows. They're pretty easy to kill, but these guys can do a lot of damage in a very short amount of time. Those torches they wield as weapons, yeah, they deal a lot of damage. So, just make sure to keep your shield up. Really wait for them to just land a hit on your shield first to stun themselves. Because it's fire damage, it will deal a little bit of damage to you, even though you're blocking, but it is worth it in comparison to what they do to you if you don't block, because then you'll instantly die. Now then, re-entering this room, as I'm sure you remember, we fought our very first boss here, the Asylum demon. Be very careful. Stay away from that center floor area. Do not go there at all. Because if you do, that floor will collapse underneath your feet and you'll end up fighting a really, really hard boss. So instead, we're going to stick to the sides. Just walk around the side of the room. A couple hollows here. They won't trigger the floor falling. So, just wait for them to come to you. Attack them after they attack you. Walk right over this way. And hit the bonfire. Now, before we continue, we're gonna do a little leveling up. Just because right in front of us, there's going to be some quite powerful foes, and you might need a boost to your stats just to deal with them. So, let's use up all our soul items. And now, we'll level up. So, I wanted to get my dexterity up to 18 so that I can wield Black Knight Sword, and now I'm going to level my vitality. I'm going to try and get it to 15 as soon as I can. Now that I've got this better stat loadout, I can wield the Black Knight Sword. Wonderful. Such a good weapon. Now with this in hand, as you might see, I'm now fat rolling. Because the Black Knight Sword is pretty heavy. So I'm going to take my helmet off. Thankfully, my helmet is enough to cover the cost, and now I just regular roll. Now, I'm going to open the door. Doesn't open this side. Oh, right. That door reclosed itself. So instead, we're going to have to walk back around. Kill that guy. Kill that guy. Now we're going to make our way back around, following the same initial path that we walked through here. And rest at this bonfire, just for the convenience. And now, as you might be able to see up ahead, instead of that hollow with the bow and arrow, or crossbow who was shooting at us the first time we came through here, now there's a Black Knight. And we're going to have to deal with him. In this very, very narrow area. Honestly, what I like to do is guide him back into this room. It's not the most spacious, but it's a little more spacious, and so it's a little easier to do. And he got it. Got him. Heal again. And got him. Ooh, red trinket chug. Nice. Now, he's not the only Black Knight that's around here. There's another one just ahead, though. But that other Black Knight is also paired with somebody who is very familiar to us. If you look just ahead, you'll see him behind that cage door. Yeah, Oscar's back. Back for his revenge. Well, not necessarily revenge. He is an undead hollow right now, so I don't think he's fully conscious or aware of what we did to him. Either way, though, he's here to try and kick our ass. Along with a Black Knight that's going to serve as his backup. So, I can carefully... very careful... think I can aggro... Where is that other Black Knight? Okay, I don't know where that other Black Knight is. Probably somewhere nearby, and he's gonna surprise attack us or something. But right now, we're waiting for Oscar, who should be coming around that corner in just a bit. Oh no, he is. Oscar, buddy, what are you doing? Get out here. I want to fight. Oh, he is just not taking the bait, is he? There he is. Yeah, this is the problem with Oscar. He's got a sword that can cut through our shield. Thankfully, he does fat roll, so it's not too hard to counter him. Heal. And got him. Thankfully not the hardest fight in the world, but it can be annoying. Does drop his crush shield though, which is pretty good. Got a bit more magic, more durability. But I believe... yeah, so it's basically just a shield that's good for dealing with magic damage. And it still has 100% physical, so it serves well in that department too. Now, aside from that... maybe I was mistaken. How bizarre. Could have sworn I remember there being yet another Black Knight around here. But, seems I was mistaken. Or perhaps I'm just remembering fighting them both at the same time because I used to accidentally bring the Black Knight over there, and that would force me to face them both. My mistake. Well, in that case, I'm gonna head back on up. Now, Oscar, like most NPCs who end up becoming hostile to you at some point, he doesn't respawn either. Not too sure why that is, considering the fact that he does become hollow, so technically he should respawn, but this time he just doesn't. And neither do most NPCs who go hollow. Never been truly clear on why that is. Perhaps they just become one of these... well, that was dumb. Who knows, perhaps they become one of these naked hollows or something. Who can say for sure, though? Or perhaps he just resurrected at a different bonfire, and now nobody knows where he is. So, making our way up this way, We've got the same collection of guys that we had to deal with on our first journey through here. And we're gonna kill that guy. Make away. Now we've got 2 hollows guarding this door. Die. Die. Now, with that undead Asylum Floor 2 West key, we're gonna unlock this door. And that is going to give us the Rusted Iron Ring, which is a very important ring to get our hands on, especially as we approach a later area. And it's just most convenient to get it now. This ring is a godsend for when we finally get into Blighttown. You'll understand why when we finally get there. So, now that we've dealt with this whole area, we're going to make our way back to Filing Shrine. Oh. Keeping in mind that you don't make the mistake that I almost just made and walked right into the boss area. That was close. And dealing with all these hollows again. Yeah, you see those guys with their torch attack, they do a lot of damage. Yeah, just be very careful on your way through here. Got them both. Alrighty. Now that we've dealt with all of that, curl up like a ball yet again. Thankfully, this happens a lot faster now. And we will be taken away and head back to Loredran. Now, we will be returning here again at a later point in the game to take on the boss that's still here, but that's still not for a while yet. And we get dropped off back at the nest. Now, one last thing to note about this nest. This nest is where you perform trading with the crow. Basically, if you drop certain items in here, then the crow that is nesting nearby will basically trade you items for different items. There's a whole list that you can look up for which items that you can get. And there have been theories that these trades that you get for certain items are lore significant. Basically, if there's an item connected to a specific individual and you put it in the nest, the item that it gets traded for could potentially have some lore significance. I'm not 100% supportive of that theory. I do think it brings up some interesting questions and potential connections, but I'm not 100% certain if I would back that theory. It is very interesting, though, what connections can be made, especially when trading things like different kinds of Titanite. So, before we move on, we are going to drop down onto this little area of the church, and this will give us the chance to run around. And never mind, we already got this item. If you haven't put it together already, I am a slightly forgetful person. Hopefully that doesn't lose your confidence in me through this walkthrough. I do have a list that I'm using, so I'll get everything important that matters. Alrighty. Now, we're just gonna recharge our Estus here real quick. And I think that's going to just about do it for us today. Next time, we'll finally be taking on this really cool boss that's up in that church area we went through, and we will finally be ringing the Bells of Awakening. Thank you guys for joining me, and I hope to see you around next time.